In this episode, we have the most unique bag to hit the cornhole market ever. The WTF X-Ray by WTFCornhole.com. ACL Pro 21 to 22. WTF is making some of the coolest stuff, the most innovative stuff you have ever seen. From a bag maker's perspective, this has really cool features. Does it affect gameplay? Not really. It just looks awesome, and it does that very, very well. Looks awesome. This fabric is similar to this fabric. It is this fabric. Only difference is it's at a 45-degree angle. It's just cut that way. And this fabric is the backside of the 8.5 speed fabric that's on literally every bag, but it's a good fabric. What can we say? It's so good. I like this bag. When I first saw, let's get a semi close up here of what we're talking about with unique features. This side stitch, the main stitch, you can see it's got color. It gives it an accent. It's an accent on the bag. And the closing stitch, woo! Look at that bad boy. All the way around. Purple thread against the green with the purple. I mean, that's just genius. Genius! This bag is called the X-Ray. I don't know what the name has to do with anything on the bag. I can't see through it. This design, it looks like a Rorschach test, but also pelvic bones. It looks like femurs in the pelvic bone, but split and Rorschach in a way that it's symmetrical on top and bottom, left and right, where this would be the center. I can't particularly tell what's behind it. It's probably just a purple shadow, I guess. Nothing special about the font. You got your outline, double outline. Everything's visible. These bags are pretty well broken in. They're sent to me used. And they are in prime condition right now. Like, you are ready to go out and win. These bags have a crunchy fill. Feeling like that big plastic kind of overfilled feel to it, like the BG, the Vikings were. And I know these bags are made to do one thing: flop, cut, roll, get in the hole. WTF, 4 things. These things are pretty freaking dangerous. On a UV cured board, or like these other St. Pete cornhole boards I got, that's an automotive clear coat. This side, pretty deadly. It'll grab the board. On a regular poly board that's sanded down to like 400 grit, these slide like in the other bag. But you got it on a special surface board, these things really light up. And they just grab and go and roll and cut and flop and do this and that. And it makes it say, WTF, mate. First thing we're going to do is weigh all the bags. 1 pound. 15.9, nope. 1 pound. 1 pound. 1 pound. 1 pound, very good. Knowing that it's plasticky fill, that's tough to do. But I know they have a bag filler. These guys are out in Texas. Dallas, Texas, I believe. With their bag filler and their automated sewer. These might have been the one. No, these are the 22s. I think these were done on an automated machine. Well, we'll see when we take it apart. And I'm going to show you some things that you just haven't ever seen on a cornhole bag. I will tell you right off the bat that this is going to be a pain in the ass. There's at least 150 stitches here. Let's take a quick pause here. And I got the decorative stitch out, the embroidery stitch. And underneath that there is another stitch here. And I'd like to just measure that right now while we got Well, we can see it because it's underneath that other stitch. Let's see what the stitch length is. It's going to be difficult. I'm doing it in the air like a dummy. Oh, it's just hard to see. Looks like 2.5 to 3 millimeters. It's just hard to see from here. All right, folks, we got her. Look at this sneak peek here. Looking like 2 types of fill, and they're both the same shape. They both felt like plastic in my hand. I bet they both are plastic. They look exactly. Oh, make that 3. Make that 3. We're gonna get it in the bowl. Wow. Oh man, these are unique. That's awesome. It's got a liner. That's friggin' smart. And I will tell you why that is smart. You'll see why it's smart. It's already coming apart. Here's that fill. I'm seeing 3 different colors. The 3 colors look to be the same type of pellet, just different colors. And mixed in, there's like the 1Z or 2Z, like offhand pellet. Maybe we can see that close up. I thought I saw a flat one in there that might have just been smashed or something at the factory. Very small stuff. I like this. I really like this already. Let's get close up right now. Well, isn't this so cool? This is the 8th episode and finally a totally unique fill. You can see it's mixed, but all these are the same. They're different color, same shape, and I'm pretty positive they're all the same density. Let me see if I can find an outlier. Here's one. Can't read it. Rolling over. There we go. I lost it. Okay, it's semi-translucent. This little guy right here. That little guy? I wouldn't worry about that little guy. Semi-translucent, rounder. These are like a long kind of, look like a pop rock kind of shape, or like a nerd. Not really the Nerd's candy, but what Nerd's candy should look like. Okay, here's one. Let's see if I really have any surgeon skills. Gotta pick this guy up, clip, and bring it on into view. Yep, another oddball. Bigger, a little flatter. And when I first squeezed the bag after opening it, I thought I saw a flat one. There's another one of them bigger pellets. Okay, those are just mixed in just because that's how they came from the factory. I don't think they're there on purpose. There's not enough of them there to make a difference. There's probably like 20 in the whole bag, so out of however many thousands of these pellets. I like it. I like it a lot. Cool stuff. Now for the piece de resistance. Right here we have the show side of the Go fabric, and you can start to kind of see that stitch. And on this side, it is not the backing of this fabric. They put a liner in because this fabric is pretty notorious for coming apart, so I'm told. And I believe this is the top side when they sew the bag together, which is kind of odd. But you can see the stitch here. Of course, we're going to get close up on it. But see that? It's not a very wide embroidery stitch. It's an embroidery style, very tight zigzag stitch. And you can do this on a home machine that has zigzagging built in. Although I wouldn't recommend it, and it would take you forever. And just let the pros do it. Like these are really nice. You can see that lining coming apart already. That's what I think is the downside of this kind of stitch. But this isn't exactly like bulletproof lining to begin with. Got an extra long tab on the open. It's cut that way. It's looking like they cut this after it's been sewn together. Like it was sewn together in a larger clamp type of thing. Then they trim it afterwards and leave a nice little tab style here. Gives you more to sew when you're closing it. The opening is 2 inches. Pretty small. So were the 724s, I believe. Those were 2 inches as well. Total width of the seam here, if I can just get it to kind of square up, 6 3/8. We'll call it the same there. A little bit pointier corners, maybe a 1 1/4 inch. See that? All right, well, let's do the old zoom in thing again. Here we are. Top side of the fabric, which is the slow side if you're flipped inside out. This is that zigzag. I want to make sure we stay in focus so you can see every little thread here. That zigzag stitch. Starting here, coming around. This is all an automated machine doing this. Like I said, you could do it by hand. You can go a little wider if you wanted to, but this seems to work. A wider stitch would give you more of a pronounced accent on the outside edge. Pretty cool. I think it's really smart to put that lining, and it kind of makes the bag a little bit fuller. Those pellets are probably kind of light. This gives it more volume, or has less volume that the pellets have to fill. There are no special laser cuts. Only thing really special, if you look here, underneath that embroidery zigzag on the closing stitch was a regular straight stitch with pretty good size stitch length. We can measure it a little better here. Use the millimeters. Starting at 14. If I can get it in the camera. Looking at, oh, come on, work with me here. 3.5, 3 millimeters in length for that stitch. Let's flip it over. This is the bottom side. You see the bobbin thread, white. This fabric's holding up pretty good. Other than that, like, there's not much to show. Unless you just want to see this fabric up close. This fabric's pretty well broken in now. Feels nice and soft. When it's off the roll, it feels like chemically, kind of gooey. It feels like something else. That's it right there. Feels really slick. And the backing just got kind of this spray glue all over it. 2.5 inch hole, not super easy to flip inside out. These fabrics aren't crazy hard to move. They're not very thick, but this one does get waxy. It's got some kind of like residue on it out of the factory. And I wonder just how hard they try to push these seams out so they show right away. Oh, I'm gonna save some of that embroidery thread so you can see how thin it is. There it is, flipped inside out. Nice and light, nice and thin. They got that 45-degree angle. It kind of wastes fabric because in order to get it like that, you need to have a bigger square. So you're looking at like a 9-inch square that's turned sideways. And just ends up eating up more fabric. But it looks cool. I did that. I had that idea about a year and a half ago. Someone wanted custom bags, like really custom. I said, you know, I got this idea about turning it sideways. So I did it. It's on my Instagram. It's got the Stussy logo. I'm not saying I was the first to do it, but I'm glad it's catching on. It's kind of neat. Just gives it a little extra, like as if this cool accent seam wasn't enough. You also have the 45-degree back. here's that cool effect of the accent coming through. I think their earlier bags had a much wider zigzag, which made it much, like probably double that. They had a much more pronounced accent. This is still really, really, really cool. Really, really cool. They got to be the first bit to do it. It's so awesome. I put my little closing stitch on there. I'm not going to do the zigzag. And I'm wondering, just wondering, maybe underneath this, like the closing stitch, is a straight stitch that starts it off. Maybe. This bag is measuring in just under 6 inches on the width overall. I got it smashed down. Yeah, about 5 7/8. Thickness, it's a little thicker. I call it maybe 1 3/8. I'm not going to try to measure that. But the whole point is that it's, you know, kind of roundy, kind of thick, like BG. Of course, this I can easily go all the way through and touch. Not super easily, but with the BG, I got to really fight to touch my fingers together. Not so much with this one, but it still performs the same way. It gets down and goes. Let me get one with the regular stitch, the original closing seam. This thing gets down and goes. In the hands of an experienced flopper and roller professional, these are absolutely deadly. Absolutely deadly. Easy to push. They collect other bags super easy as well. They're just really, it makes you say WTF. Like the logo, like the phrase. Yeah, I can't say enough cool things about this bag. Finally some, you know, unique and original. I really like it. Well, I mean, I pretty much overstated my overall impressions already, but these are really awesome. Worth having in your collection, worth spending the money, and worth taking the time to get to know the bag, to break it in naturally, playing it on different boards, different tournaments, against different people. If you force yourself to use one bag, you'll get good with that bag. So, like, don't just keep changing bags around. Stay with one bag for a couple weeks and see how far you can go with it. These are pretty sweet. I'm going to give it 1, 2, 3, 4 thumbs up.